Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University video lessons on financial management. Today we are going to discuss estimation of working capital, that is a unit 15 of financial management. In this we have some topics to discuss. One is estimation of working capital needs. Next, methods of estimating working capital needs. Third one, factors to be considered while estimating working capital requirements. Last but one is pro forma of working capital estimation for both the manufacturing concerns as well as service organizations. What are the steps involved in the determination of working capital? Finally, we will end up with a practical problem. Let us take up one small problem and work out how working capital can be estimated. So, this is the program for discussion today. Now, how to estimate working capital needs? Every organization needs working capital. Without working capital, we cannot run the organization. Hence, we need to estimate how much working capital is required. This is necessary for covering day-to-day operational expenses, that is paying for suppliers, meeting payrolls, so on and so forth. Accurate estimation of working capital will result in investing right amount in the current assets. Otherwise, excessive investment in current assets will result into excessive working capital, and that may lead to inefficiency, because you are not able to make use of the assets, current assets properly. So, that is why we need to have adequate working capital. We need to correctly estimate the working capital requirements. There are some important methods to estimate the working capital needs. They are: one is operating cycle method, next one is estimation of current assets and current liabilities method, the third one is the cash forecasting method. Let us discuss one by one. Operating cycle or working capital cycle method. It is the time taken to convert the raw materials into finished goods, and finished goods, when they are sold, how much time it takes to collect the amount from the debtors or the customers. It is about any business is about to investing capital, acquiring the resources, adding value, and realizing investments along with the profits. That is why we need to see that operating cycle length or the time taken to convert the raw materials into finished goods and into cash. Every organization should see that it is as little as possible, as small period as possible. Otherwise, what we call lengthy periods will definitely take more investment that in current assets. So, that is why it is not desirable. The firm also required to maintain inventory of raw materials and finished goods to prevent the loss of production or loss of business opportunity. That is why operating cycle of a company can be said to cover distinct stages, that is each stage requiring a level of supporting investment. At the time of purchasing the raw material, at the time of converting, that is the process, and at the time of selling the products, and at the time of collecting the dues from or amount from the customers or the debtors. For a manufacturing firm, no doubt the operating cycle will be a little bit lengthy. The reason is that converting the raw materials into finished good products, so it takes some time, and we need to have more and more amount of investment, that is the working capital at every stage, that is the conversion of raw materials into that is in the process of work in progress, and work in progress to finished goods to sales, and sales to that is a conversion of cash. So, that is why here the raw materials and other components are playing a vital role in operating cycle in the conversion. The inventories can be bought on trade credit as well as results into creditors. The inventories can be bought on trade credit, as a result creditors will increase. Further, goods are manufactured that are sold on credit, and the debtors will arise. The amount to be collected from the debtors, it will take some time, and the conversion cycle, that is the operating cycle length, will be more. The time gap between firms paying cash for the purchase of raw materials and the entering into work in progress and making them to be finished goods for sale, and converting the finished goods when they are being sold to the customers or the debtors, automatically the time taken for converting the all this into cash, it takes some time. So, the inflow of cash from the debtors and the operating cycle always what we call it is considered as the most important in estimating the working capital needs. So, that is why here every organization should see that while estimating the working capital needs, how much time it takes to convert the raw materials into cash, that is the raw materials to work in progress to finished goods to debtors, and bills receivable or the accounts receivable, and the cash. As you are aware, the working capital cycle or the operating cycle begins with the acquisition of raw materials and ends with the collection of the receivables from the debtors. It is measured as you are aware, that is operating cycle, that is R plus W plus F plus D minus C. What is this R? R stands for raw materials, W stands for work in progress, F stands for finished goods, D stands for debtors, and C stands for creditors. That is raw materials to work in progress to finished goods to debtors, and all these are the components of this working capital, and from this we need to deduct this creditors, because payment is to be made to the creditors. So, when you collect the amount from the debtors, so that amount to be paid to the creditors. That is why it is R plus W plus F plus D minus C. The second method is estimation of current assets and current liabilities. As you are aware, current assets are those assets which can be converted into cash in one accounting year. The current assets are cash at bank, cash in hand, bills receivable, debtors, inventory, so on and so forth. The current liabilities are those liabilities which can be paid off in accounting year. That is accounting year in the sense it is a 12 months period. The current liabilities include creditors, bills payable, bank overdraft, outstanding liabilities, so on and so forth. This method is most important, and it considers investment of working capital in various components of current assets and credit advantage from the current liabilities. So, here the working capital requirement we can easily estimate just by following a formula, that is a current assets minus current liabilities. When current assets are rupees, let us say 10 lakhs, and the current liabilities are 8 lakhs, the working capital is 2 lakhs. So, that is a formula we can adopt while estimating the working capital for the organization. Here always you have to remember one thing, that the current assets and current liabilities, they play vital role in estimating the working capital needs of a firm for a period, and always it should be 2:1 ratio between current assets and current liabilities. This is known as a current ratio. That ratio should always be 2:1. 2:1 means here for every 2 rupees of current assets, so there must be 1 rupee of current liability. That means when 1 rupee is paid off from 2 rupees, so 1 rupee will be with you as a working capital. That means 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. 2 rupees of current assets and 1 rupee of current liability, the remaining is 1 rupee is a working capital. Suppose the people may say that or some students may think that if you have instead of 2:1, 3:1, 3:1 in the sense 3 minus 1, 3 current assets and 1 current liability, it is not at all desirable, because 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. We need only 1 but not 2. That is a 2:1 is a ideal ratio of current assets and current liabilities. Excessive investment in current assets will not result into anything. That's why always it is a dangerous, as you have discussed in the previous lesson. So that's why always we need to have current assets 2, that is a 20 lakhs for example, and current liabilities 10 lakhs. So we need to have the working capital, that is a working capital need is 10 lakhs now, 20 lakhs minus 10 lakhs. Then next one is the cash forecasting method. What is this cash forecasting method? Is just like a cash budget. Budget is a blueprint of estimated expenditure and estimated income. Always estimated income is more than estimated expenditure, that means we can have surplus. But in most of the cases estimated expenditure is more than that of estimated income. As a result we will have the deficit. So budgets always will be deficit only. For any state or any country, you take deficit budgets only, but not surplus budgets. In the similar manner, to estimate the working capital needs of the organization, we need to forecast the cash required. This is a method. In this method, we can have these the estimated income, that is how much amount to be invested in the current assets and how much amount to be paid to the current liabilities. Here it attempts to estimate the cash surplus or deficiency. For this purpose, streams of cash inflows and cash outflows always to be calculated, expected in the future. Here budgets are meant for estimations for the future but not the present. How much estimated cash inflows, how much estimated cash outflows, so we need to take into consideration. So either you may have surplus or deficit. Suppose deficit you have, how to collect that amount, or how to maintain that deficiency. And suppose you have surplus. When surplus is there, of course to some extent surplus is desirable, but if you have more amount of surplus working capital, it is not at all desirable. The reason is that unnecessary amount is being kept in the current assets, so it is a ideal one. Now let us have a discussion on what are the factors influencing working capital requirements. Here, while estimating the working capital for an organization for the future period, there are various factors that influence. They are, most important factors are 8 factors. They are nature of business, size of business, business cycles, operating cycle, credit terms, growth of business and expansion, then business sales, and also we have operating efficiency of the firm. Now let us discuss one by one. Nature of business, that depends upon the working capital requirement is purely dependent on the nature of business, whether it is a service organization or manufacturing organization. If it is a manufacturing organization, we need to have more working capital, because the operating cycle, that is a more lengthy cycle we have. The reason is we need to buy the raw material, they must be converted into finished goods and they must be sold, and you must collect the cash from the debtors. So that's why manufacturing concerns need always more working capital than that of the service oriented organizations. The second one is size of business. Bigger the size, more amount of working capital we require. Smaller the size of the business, we need to have less amount of working capital. So, larger business typically need more working capital due to their extensive operations, because there is a more demand for the goods which you are producing, and we need to what we call have more working capital to run the business. Otherwise, small organizations are and the business is size is very small, and we need to have less amount of working capital. So, size of business plays an important role while estimating the working capital needs for the organization. The next one is a business cycle. Business cycles, you know, they are also called as trade cycles. What is the trade cycle? Introduction, then what I call these growth, then maturity, and last one was the falling. That means during introduction you may not have, when you introduce a product, you may not have that much what I call working capital, but when it is growing, when a growth stage in the sense here, when sales are increased, that means more and more customers they are buying our products. In that case, we need to produce more and more, and we need to have more working capital. So, here when there is a depression, the depression in the sense here, when there is a maturity, after maturity, falling stage in the sense here, there will not be much demand for our products. So, as a result, we need not have to have the more and more working capital. So, that is why business cycles, the stage of business cycle, whether it is introductory stage or the growth stage or the maturity stage or falling stage, and we need to what I call estimate correctly depending upon the stage of trade cycle. Then operating cycle, already we have discussed about the operating cycle. If the operating cycle is so lengthy, we need to have more working capital. If it is a small what operating, that means length is small, we need to have less amount of working capital. Then credit terms. The credit terms are of two types. When the goods are sold to the people or the customers, and how much time you are giving, that is called credit period offer to the customers. And when you are purchasing the raw material from your suppliers, so how much time they are giving, what a credit given credit time or credit period given by the suppliers and credit period given to the customers. Suppose credit period given to the customers is more, that means delay in collecting the cash from the debtors. As a result, we need to have more working capital. When you are given more credit period by the suppliers, we need to have less amount of working capital, because there is a time lag between payment the amount you are paying and the order we have or the goods or inventory we have purchased from the supplier is more. Okay, more credit period from the suppliers, so we need to have less working capital, and more credit period given to the customer, so we need to have more working capital. That is why always see that the more credit period from the suppliers and less credit period to the debtors, so that you can maintain the correct or optimum working capital. There is a business growth and expansion. This business growth, and when the organization is growing, expansion is taking place, and many more plans what they call in the future you have to expand your business, and in that case you need to have more working capital. So, here business growth and expansion factors also play an important role while estimating the working capital for the organization. Then sales are increasing like anything. There is a lot of demand for the products which you are producing. Day by day sales are increasing. As a result, we need to produce more and more, and in that case we need to have more and more raw material you have to purchase, then to be converted into finished goods and to be sold. So, in that case more working capital we need. Suppose the sales are not that much, in that case your operational activity is slower, as well as a result we need to have less amount of or small, or you can say not that much what you call big amount of working capital. Then the operating efficiency. What is this operating efficiency? It is related to the optimum utilization of assets in which what you call you have invested. Okay? The resources which are available in the organization, you are not able to properly utilize those resources, means your operating efficiency is not that much what you call good. So, here when you are making use of the available resources in the organization properly, effectively and efficiently, your profitability will be more, liquidity position will be good, and you need not worry about the what you call more working capital to have. So, that is why here your business operating efficiency of the business is good. It is what? Good. You need not to have more working capital. With optimum working capital or less working capital, you can manage the things. Now, let us see. Now, let us focus on what is the procedure for estimating the working capital requirements. There are some factors to be considered. These factors are total costs incurred on materials, wages and also other overheads. These are very, very important because in the short period only or in the one accounting year only, we need to pay the amount to this, the materials, wages and also the overheads. The length of time for which the raw materials are remain in the stores. Okay. More time it takes what you call to keep the raw materials in the stores, in the sense here more investment is required, and the process of the conversion is also more lengthy, means it takes what you call more amount of working capital. The length of the sales cycle is also, the goods are produced and they are kept in the godown and not being sold. In that case also, as the finished goods are lying in the godown, when they are not being sold, you cannot convert them into cash. Next, as a result, you need to have more and more working capital. So, the average period of credit allowed to the customers also, as I told you earlier, the credit period which you allow to the customers it plays an important role. The reason is that when the credit period is more to the customers or debtors, definitely the cash we collect at a later stage, we need to have more and more working capital. The amount of cash required for advance payments, if any, sometimes the suppliers may ask you to pay the advance. In that case, we need to keep more and more amount of working capital. So, these are the important factors which you need to keep in our mind while estimating the working capital. Now, there is a pro forma for estimating the working capital. Here we have two different pro formas. One is for service oriented organizations where manufacturing is will not take place. Second one is manufacturing organizations where operating cycle length is more. In case of service organizations, so there will not be much what we call this operating cycle. The reason is that generally the service providers always they provide the service at a very reasonable time. Now, the trading concerns, that is what first let us see the trading concerns. Of course, their trading concerns might be what you call buying and selling of goods, or buying services and selling the services might be here. The current assets and current liabilities, as you know, they play very important role while estimating the current assets, the working capital. Now, the current assets here cash, receivables for month sales and stocks for month sales and advance payments, if any. In other words, here how much what you call you require to keep cash in your organization, and what are the receivables. Receivables in the sense here accounts receivables from debtors, accounts receivables, and stocks, the raw material stocks, that is the inventory or work in progress or the finished goods. And last one is advance payment, if any. I mean sometimes the creditors may ask, or some organizations may ask you to pay the advances. These are the current assets. All these current assets you have to what you call sum up, and from that current liabilities to be subtracted. The current liabilities are creditors for the goods which you have purchased or inventory which you have purchased, and the lag in the payment of expenses. For example, wages or salaries are paid in 1 month period, that is a lag time is or lag period is 1 month. Sometimes when you pay the creditors, it may take what they call 2 months time. So, all these are the payments lag periods. Then the current assets minus current liabilities is working capital. If current assets are more than the current liabilities, positive working capital we have, otherwise negative working capital. So, sometimes when you get this CA plus CL, CA means current assets minus current liabilities working capital. If you want what a net working capital, in that case any contingencies you want to have, you want to add, in that case add some contingencies for unexpected events or unexpected the things. So, in that case that margin also to be some amount to be added to the working capital, then you get the net working capital required. So, here the second one is the manufacturing concerns. We need to focus more and more on this manufacturing concern working capital estimation. Here the statement of working capital requirements, if you see that the current assets, in this current assets this trading concerns, there is no manufacturing. In the earlier case there is no manufacturing process or production process. Here it is not manufacturing concerns. So, you take raw material, then the raw materials to be what you call process. Process means work in progress, and work in progress to be converted into what? The finished goods. That is why here stock of raw materials, then the work in progress. In that raw materials you will have the direct labor you will have, and overheads also you will have. So, these three to be calculated in the current assets, that is a work in progress. And the stock of finished goods also, in that stock of finished goods also you will have the raw materials, direct labor and also overheads. And the sundry debtors also, in that sundry debtors also included sundry debtors also include the raw materials, direct labor and also the overheads. And the payment of advance, as you have seen in case of trading concerns, so payment of advances. Okay. And then any other item to be shown in the current assets. Okay. Now, you take the current liabilities. In this current liabilities we have creditors, okay, then lag in payment of wages, as you have seen in case of trading concerns, and any other payments which you are taking place in future, that is in the set period. So, current assets minus current liabilities is equal to the working capital requirement, and the net working capital, if you want any provisions or any vertical margins for additions you can add, then you can have the net working capital. Now, we have one exercise to end up with this class. We have one exercise, estimation of working capital vertical, is very easy to understand, and on one slide we have the problem, on the other slide we have the solution. Let us see the exercise. ABC Limited, a newly set up enterprise, has furnished the following cost data. Cost per unit, it is a percentage of sales, that is a raw material 40%, labor 30% and overheads 10%. Total comes to 80%. Raw materials are expected to remain in stores on an average period of 1 month. Each unit of production will. So, here the problem which vertical we have here, the way of what solving this problem is calculation of unit cost. First, the raw materials total, the selling price is 200, out of which what we call 40% is 80 rupees, and labor 30% of 200 is 60 rupees, overheads only 10% of 200 is 20 rupees. Work in progress 80 plus 50% of 60 and 50% of 20, total comes to 120. Finished goods 80 plus 60 plus 20, total 160. The total cost of production is the finished goods 160 and the selling price is 200. And here the statement of estimated working capital and current assets 40,000 of raw materials, work in progress of 30,000, and finished goods are 1 lakh, and debtors 80,000, and from which the total comes to 3 lakhs 10,000, from which you deduct the current liabilities. In the current liabilities, creditors are 40,000 and 30,000 are the wages. The working capital is 2 lakh 40,000, and add some cash balance for contingencies, unforeseen contingencies around 40,000. It total comes to 2 lakhs 80,000. This is the net working capital. So, with this we come to an end of this estimation of working capital class. Thank you.